Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bleav in Bengals podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Solomon Wilcots. And right now, at the time of this recording, we're about a little less than 1 week away from the start of the 2026 NFL draft, where the Cincinnati Bengals hold the 10th overall pick. And this is a very big draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a very big offseason, as we have been telling you here on Bleav in Bengals, because this offseason, the Bengals have to build a team that gets them back into the postseason, that gets them back into the playoffs, that puts them back on the pathway to competing for a Super Bowl title. 3 consecutive off seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals have not made the playoffs, and we have to be able to do something about that. This is too good of a team. It's too good of a quarterback. We're too good at the wide receiver position. I do believe the skill positions around the quarterback are good enough to win a Super Bowl. And I do believe if we leverage our run game, there's no doubt in my mind that Chase Brown and Samaje Perine give us enough in the backfield to give us a good enough run game to have a balanced offense and can compete for a Super Bowl title. And if we're running the ball effectively, if our run play percentage is better than it has been over the last several years, where we rank near the bottom of the league, running the ball at roughly about 33% of the time, that if we get that up, there's no doubt I think our offensive line is much better than what we have seen over the last couple of years. They are a talented group. They will bloody your nose if we run the ball more deliberately with our quarterback under center and pound the run game and let Amarius Mims and Orlando Brown Jr. and Ted Karras, if we allow them to fire off with an intentional manner and run the football, there's no doubt these guys are much better than what the pass protection or the pass win rate has been for the offensive line. Because that means if we're running the ball better, we can operate with play action pass plays better. That means we can disguise our intent of throwing the ball down the field with run action and RPOs. That's going to help our offensive line play at a much higher level. I mean, you try blocking Myles Garrett twice a year. You try blocking now Trey Hendrickson, right, in games twice a year, and TJ Watt in the AFC North, and you're going to struggle. Your pass protection, your pass blocking rate is not going to be as good. But when you can use the RPOs, use the play action game to do that, and that means you have to have an effective run game, and then this offensive line is going to grade out at a much higher level. That means the Cincinnati Bengals will go into the 2026 draft with one clear thing in mind. They're going to go heavy on the defensive side of the ball. They need playmakers and difference makers on the defensive side of the ball at all 3 levels, on the defensive line, at the linebacker position, and certainly in the secondary. However, I believe Cincinnati Bengals, when you're drafting this high at the 10th overall pick, one of at least 5 players are going to be there. And you think about it. Look, I don't pretend to know who the Bengals will draft, but of these 5 players, they have to be on the Bengals board. They have to be top of mind for the Cincinnati Bengals when they go to send that card up to Roger Goodell next week on Thursday. When they make that selection, that's providing they don't trade up or trade down. If they use the 10th overall pick to take a player, it's going to be one of these 5 players. Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami. Mansour Delaney, cornerback from LSU. Talented player. Caleb Downs, a safety from The Ohio State University. Jermon McCoy, who's coming off a knee injury, did not play at all in 2025, but had a phenomenal pro day workout. Ran a great 40 time. I mean, this guy, phenomenal player, solidified himself as a potential top 10 pick, certainly a first round selection, the cornerback out of the University of Tennessee. If he's there, he will draw tremendous consideration for the Cincinnati Bengals. Jeremiah Love, I'm not canceling him out. Even though we want one of the best defensive players on the board, if one of those 4 other defensive players aren't there, do you pass on Jeremiah Love? And listen, in an optimal world, one of these 3 defensive players will be there. I don't think they will be. That's why I didn't name them. And that's the edge rusher from Texas Tech, David Bailey. He's not going to be there when the Bengals pick 10th overall. Sonny Styles from Ohio State's not going to be there. Arvell Reese is not going to be there. That's why I didn't even put him on the list. I'm assuming those 3 guys will be gone. But the other 4 defensive players I did name ought to be there. One of those 4 ought to be there. But if all 4 are gone, along with David Bailey, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese, then that means Jeremiah Love is sitting there. Who, I mean, God forbid you take a defensive player just because he's on the defensive side of the ball and you pass up a phenomenal, game-changing player. If you put Jeremiah Love on the Cincinnati Bengals offense, think about what kind of offense that would be. We'd have to give up 40 if we're going to lose. By the way, we did give up 49 to the Chicago Bears last year. I'm still crying over that game. I'm still just furious when it comes to that game. However, I'm just telling you, Cincinnati Bengals fans, I don't want us to take a running back. I don't want us to take an offensive player. They might even take an offensive lineman with that 10th overall pick. If all of those defensive players I named are gone, David Bailey, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Reuben Bain Jr., Mansour Delaney, Jamal McCoy, Caleb Downs, if they're all gone, don't go reaching for a defensive player just because that's where our biggest need, because you're going to give up a really great player on offense. But it better be a guy who can score touchdowns, right? So, look, I don't anticipate us taking a offensive player with the 10th overall pick in the 2026 draft. But if all 9 of the previous players that are going to be selected before the Bengals go on the clock with the 10th overall pick are the guys that I named, and they're all gone, then you might want to leave yourself open to adding Jeremiah Love, because, I mean, this is the equivalent to Bijan Robinson, right? Put him on the Bengals offense. What do you got? You got yourself 30 to 40 points a game every week with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So Cincinnati Bengals go into this year's draft with one thing in mind, and that is the strategy behind our draft this year. It has to be to improve the defense. Every single move you make, improve the defense. And we're literally behind the 8 ball here, because it should have started last year, right? With those picks that we made at the linebacker position with the Shamar Stewart pick. Really, the improvement on defense should have started at minimum last year. Myles Murphy the year before that, right? And DJ Turner the year before that. This is really a 3-year journey into improving a defense that has not gotten any better, despite the selection of what I think are some really good football players. DJ Turner, Dax Hill, Barrett Carter, Demetrius Knight, Myles Murphy. Come on. I mean, these guys are really good players. Why aren't we getting better on defense? Well, they've got to begin to prove themselves. I think some of those guys have begun to kind of show you what they're made of, and that's why they're on the verge of getting new contracts. But now it all has to come together. Shamar Stewart, your group from last year, it's got to start to come together. And the group this year, it's got to be the tipping point, right? It's got to be the group that puts this defense over the top. And boy, you're going to have to play your hearts out during this upcoming 17-game regular season schedule. So the strategy behind the 2026 draft is to find improvement on defense, but more importantly, it's to select and draft difference makers. Now, I'm going to say this. Games are won at the line of scrimmage. but games are lost in the secondary. And games are won by dominating the line of scrimmage on defense. You've got to have the ability to stop the run, pressure the opposing quarterback, hit, hurry, and harass the quarterback. Like my form of alliteration there, by the way. You got to be able to hit, hurry, and harass the quarterback. That's right. We call that alliteration. That is the repetitive use of the consonant sound. It creates and paints a picture of what we need to do to the quarterback. He's going to get hit, hurried, and harassed. That's what you got to do. And we need defensive players to do that, right? Somebody on the defensive line's got to pick up the slack for what's being lost in the absence of Trey Hendrickson. Who's going to do that? We're looking for a few good men who can hit, hurry, and harass the quarterback. You got to dominate the defensive line against the run. You got to stop the run. So you have to be able to force errant plays from the quarterback. I don't care if it's through pressures or through sacks. You've got to be able to force fumbles. Unexpected pressure on the quarterback leads to turnovers, right? And this defense has got to be able to take the ball away. It starts with physicality at the line of scrimmage. And then secondly, you've got to be able in the back end, to me, you have to have a secondary as a tremendous high level of football intelligence, instincts and intelligence. What it leads to is your ability to anticipate what you're going to get from the offense. Most of your plays made on defense are made from the neck up. It's made before they even snap the ball because it's like reading the offense's mail. It's like reading what they're doing, and they're going to tell you what they're doing. Offenses have tails. That's right. I'm here to tell you. Down in distance, personnel grouping. Is it 11 personnel? Is it 12 personnel? Is it 13 personnel? Where are they? Are they in the red zone or at the plus 40-yard line coming in, looking to get a big play on 2nd and 2? Down in distance, personnel grouping, formations, trips right, okay, backside of trips. What do you got going on over here? To the strong side of trip formation, that means 3 receivers to the same time, same side. We call that trips, right? But you better be careful because they're trying to get you naked over on that backside with just 1 receiver, and that running back will come out fast because they know you're blitzing. They know you're coming. And they'll try to, defenses want to bring pressure off that weak side, but they'll try to fast flow or free release the running back, knowing that you don't have a lot over there. And if he can get 1 step on that linebacker, 1 step, like Chase Brown, think about it. You're getting ready to blitz Joe Burrow, backside of trips. Chase Brown, fast flow, release. What linebacker's going to stay with him? I don't know one. He's going to beat you. If he gets containment, if he breaks containment, it gets outside that linebacker, all Joe's got to do is get that ball past the linebacker. You just slip it. I don't care if you have to jump past it. I don't care if you have to throw a curveball to get it to him. No one's going to stop him. He's going to hit his head on the goalpost. But that's how you play defense, is understanding these tendencies that the offense, they can't help but give them to you. Because last I checked, they have to line up before they snap the ball, right? They don't get to snap the ball while still in the huddle. They got to line up. Soon as they line up, you know the ball is on specific yard line. You know that they have certain personnel grouping in the game. You know that they have aligned in a certain formation. So you have down and distance. What down is it? Is it first down? Is it second and short? Is it second and medium? Right? It tells you what you're going to get. Right? Are you down inside the red zone? Again, are you on the goal line? So where the ball is aligned. And I can tell you right now, the way that wide receivers are aligned on the field is he got a short split and he's that third receiver from the inside of trips. You know why he's lined up so tight? He's trying to get as close as he can to the other side because he's getting ready to run that over route. And they're going to wait till he clears all the way over to the other side because that's what you're trying to lift coverage to that side, then fast flow him over to the other side and hit him. But he's going to tell you that simply by how he's aligned. We know. That's why I have to communicate. Hey, we got tight split over here. Check it. They're coming. They're coming. He's going to fast flow over to the other side. Think about if we had 11 defensive players who knew these tendencies. And not only that, we have a saying on defense in the NFL. Don't keep secrets. When you see something, tell somebody. Say it out loud. Communicate to the other 10 guys in the huddle. Communicate to the other 10 guys on the field. I see it. We got tight split over here. Tight split. Watch it. They're coming over. They're coming over. Be ready for it. Right? You got to be able to communicate. Tell your linebackers. Tell the defensive backs on the other side. You got a fast flow. This guy's going to run an over route. He's coming. He's coming. That way, guess what? Safety to the other side. Linebacker on the other side. You might be in a cover 2. You might be the corner. Could read that route coming all the way to the other side. Jump it, steal it, pick 6. Take it to the house. So that football IQ allows you to lock in on these tendencies. The offense has to align themselves up with different personnel grouping, with different players in the huddle. That tells us what their intent is, right? Where they align on the field when they come out and break the huddle, just simply by their formation. It tells us what their intent is, right? The down and distance that they need to gain to pick up a first down tells us the probabilities of what we could expect them to run. And when you get to know a team tendencies, you get to know their everything. And I'm telling you right now, it's what helps you to play at a very high level on the defensive side of the ball. And if you're not dialing into this on a week-to-week basis, if you're not studying the playbook and studying your opponent and studying their tendencies every single week, then you don't want to win games. Because you cannot win in the NFL if you think you're just going to line up, wait till they snap the ball and see what they do. It doesn't work that way. The offenses play too fast. They're too smart. You know, if you're waiting to see what they're going to do and they think you're going to react, you're too slow. Trust me when I tell you, because they're setting you up. They know your tendencies as well. So you have to start just by disguising what you intend to do. I mean, they're playing chess on that side of the ball. You better be playing chess and not checkers. You playing checkers, it's game, set, match, point. It's over. Defenses who play that way cannot play at a high level in the NFL. You play at a high level in the NFL on defense if you're disguising what your intent is. If you're blitzing, don't show them you're blitzing. You gotta show them something else. You got to be able to move into it late, just prior to the snap of the ball. That's what makes quarterbacks panic. When you can't block them all, you thought you had it, but now you don't. You can't show them what you're doing. You can't show them early what you're doing. You got to be able to disguise your intent, right? Which is to play with bad intentions, by the way. And that's how you get hits on the quarterback. I'm going to tell you something else all great defenses do. You won't be surprised once I tell you. In fact, you'll be shocked the fact that all defenses don't do it. You got to be a great tackling defense. That's right. You got to tackle. Remember, by the way, it ain't flag. It is called tackle football. It is so basic to the game. But you'd be surprised how many guys who play on defense who don't embrace the art of tackling. The art of tackling. There is an art form to it. Because often, particularly as a defensive back, I'm tackling a man much bigger than me, much stronger than me, who's faster than me. All the receivers are faster than the defensive backs. All the running backs are bigger than most defensive backs. They're bigger, quicker, faster, right? Try tackling Derrick Henry and see. If you don't bring your technique with you, you're about to get embarrassed. That's right. You're going to be on somebody's highlight reel. But I'm going to tell you how to tackle, how to get a man on the ground. First of all, it starts with a little bit of courage. Listen, don't even sign up if you don't have courage. Because I'm telling you, man, you're taking on men who are bigger than you. Last I checked, B-I-G don't spell man. I love taking on men who are bigger than me. And I'm not just talking this. I had to live it. I love taking on. I can't tell you how many schoolyards I walked across. And there was always a bully on the yard. But the guy who always checked the bully was that little dude The little guy, right? Because the little guy, he already know what it's going to take. He ain't going to even confront the bully called Goliath unless he knows he can do his job, unless he knows his technique. But you can tackle any man. I take on pulling guards the same way I tackle. Same foot, same shoulder. Your low man wins. Leverage wins. When you take on big men and they're running at you and you're running at them, you better get low. You better dip your hips and you better rip. And you better be same foot, same shoulder. That gives you power, it gives you balance, and it gives you the ability to knock a man backwards. And that's all you have to do is just stop the momentum of the ball carrier. Just stop his momentum. That means you got to come with a force. You hit to and through the ball carrier. I can't believe I'm sitting here explaining how to tackle, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know. I see them taking bad angles. I see them putting their head behind the ball carrier. I see them going, one foot, the other shoulder. Come on, man. You got no power in your hit when you do that. You already know you're getting ready to get knocked on your behind when you do that. At least you should know. You got to stop it in practice, okay? When I take on a pulling guard and I come up, he's coming down the line. I know I can stop his momentum. I know I can knock him back and squeeze and condense the hole behind him. He's trying to knock you out of there to create this big hole for the running back to get to the next level. Makes it harder on the linebacker, makes it harder on the other safety and the other defensive players who are trying to come and fill a space to make a tackle on the runner. And sometimes it's just really about whoever has containment, whoever has what we call force on that run play. You got to take on the blocker, whether it's a big fullback, whether it's a pulling guard, whether it's a fan block on a tackle, whether it's a crack block by a wide receiver. And let me just say this, defensive back, you got no business getting cracked by any wide receiver. There ain't one wide receiver alive who enjoys blocking. They'll tell you that. They never signed up for it. It comes with the job. They have to do it, but it's not a want to. I can tell you that. They don't get up in the morning and say, I want to block. Ooh, I want to crack back on this defensive back. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because as soon as I come in there and I see you coming from the blind spot, if I turn toward you, oh, man, these guys, man, they would flinch at their own shadow. That's all you got to do is see them coming. Turn on that crack blocker and you make him pay. That's your chance to get him out the game. Any wide receiver trying to crack on you, man, that's your chance to get him out the game. There ain't never ejected a defensive back for knocking a wide receiver out on the crackback block. If he tries to crack on you, you get to knock him into kingdom come. And I'm telling you right now, they will not even find you. They won't. Because I can tell you what Hines Ward would do if you don't turn and recognize. Hines Ward gonna knock you out. In fact, there was one wide receiver who did sign up to block people, and that was Hines Ward. And I'm just telling you, the way he played the game, I admired him, even though he was wearing a Steeler uniform. I admired his zest and his zeal to be physical at the point of attack. He was a bad dude. So that's the kind of players that we're looking for, particularly in the secondary. Football intelligence, instincts, your ability to tackle, your ability to anticipate down and distance. You got to be patient and find the ball, right? More importantly, you got to be able to read the splits of the wide receivers. Know exactly what routes they're wanting to run because they will tell you what they want to do. Now, I got one more thing. When it comes to playing in the secondary, one mistake can cost you a game. One mistake. You make a mistake in the secondary, the official's doing this. That defensive lineman can make a mistake, and it's our job to cover up for their mistake. If a linebacker misses a tackle, it's the safety's job or the defensive back's job, cover up for their mistakes. But behind me, there's nobody else. So we don't get to make mistakes in the secondary. That's why if I had a pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm taking Caleb Downs, and I am not even going to second guess it. He is my man for the Cincinnati Bengals. Who's yours? Let us know. Send in your answers to that question. This is another edition of the Bleav in Bengal podcast. Thank you for joining me, everyone. We'll see you next time.